Greetings and welcome to the Drive Home Breakdown, and it is finally here. The episode you've been waiting to listen to and the episode that we've been waiting to record is finally upon us, Captain America: Civil War. It's a movie that Tony and I have been very excited to see. We couldn't wait to check it out, but we had to wait because of work schedules and real-life stuff. But we finally made it to the theater this past week, and we're able to see the film, and I'm dying to share it with you. But one thing I do want to say at the very beginning of this episode is that we did something a little bit special this time around. We actually broadcast this episode live in the car on the way to the theater and then also on the way back from the theater. So those of you that were lucky enough to just catch us when we posted to Twitter that this was going to happen were able to join us in the YouTube chat room as we were streaming there, and to just interact with us, bring up some points, ask some questions. It was a really, really great conversation, and I'm so happy that we were able to make that work. And as we move forward in the future, we'll do a better job of coordinating this. It was a really off-the-cuff affair this time around because we weren't entirely sure it was going to work. But moving forward, we're going to schedule these a bit more. We'll let you know ahead of time what day and time we're going to be seeing the movie, when you can expect us to be broadcasting, and have all that information on the website, on our social media channels, so that you can be there if you want to and join us live for the discussion and join in, which we would love for you to be able to do because it was so fun this past time. I know that we're going to enjoy that new aspect of the Drive Home Breakdown moving forward. But that's all I'll say about it for now, because I want to just get you to the episode, let you hear the conversation between myself, Tony Grice, and many of you as we discuss what was one of the most anticipated films of the year, Captain America: Civil War. And we're live. We're here. We're in the car.
Sure?
We're live.
Are you sure?
And our eyeballs have just been raped by Captain America: Civil War, which is awesome, except rape is not awesome unless it's Captain America: Civil War and your eyeballs.
Kids remember rape is not awesome, but it's awesome.
Oh, it's so fucking good.
Oh,
I mean, they said it was good, but they didn't say it was fucking good, Tony.
Dude.
God damn!
I was sitting in the theater, and like every fucking thing that was happening, I was just like, I was just like, this is, I don't know how everyone doesn't just make movies like this. Like they're just
How has Marvel come into it so late in the game and perfected it?
Dude, the thing, like there's so many things going on. I loved the way they introduced characters.
Yeah.
I loved the new characters. I thought they did the thing that we had such an issue with, like, you know, Batman versus Superman. You have two totally different mindsets, two totally different, you know, philosophies. And they still could not get that across. And in this, they did such a good job with it. Like, I thought you really did start to kind of understand why the different people were on different sides of it. Because it's not just as black and white as you might think going into it. No matter which side you kind of were on going in. Oh, dude, I literally, like, there are really, genuinely, even when I love a movie, I don't necessarily have the urge that I'm like, let's just go right back in.
Yeah.
Let's sit through it again. Not because I don't like, oh, that was fucking awesome, I want to see it again, but because I kind of relish that enjoyment of us talking about it afterwards and going through it all, then seeing it again. But this one, the fucking second that we walked out of the theater, we went straight to the bathroom.
Go back.
And as I'm staying outside the bathroom, I was like, let's just go back in.
Let's just go back.
Let's just go back in. I don't care. I don't care what we have going on later. We have to go back in. Oh my
God! All right, I see Tim Overcleef's already in chat.
All right, yeah. So I'm pulling up the chat window here.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Well, I've been checking every day for 2 weeks. Well,
you found the massive fight lasted too long.
Nonsense! Nonsense, sir!
I don't know what is wrong with your brain and your eyes.
With your perception of time.
No, I mean I could totally understand. Understand why Tony snapped. Even though you knew about Bucky very much.
He said it all. He said, "I don't care. He killed my mom.
He killed my mom." And I will admit, I did think at that point in the movie,
Hey, our Lord Despair.
that was a little bit of a. I mean, I won't say it was like I thought it was fine. Like, as a matter of fact, I thought it was as good as they could have dealt with it. But I will admit, like, in reality, you really would have hoped that, like, that, you know, at that point they've already gone through so much that they'd kind of be like, look, you know, Tony, it wasn't him. You know, whether you think it was or it wasn't him.
Yeah.
But the way they handled it with, like, the whole shot of, like, him killing his dad, which was pretty rough, and then his mother accepting it and, like, just seeing it, and then you see Bucky just reach around and then you see his face. I mean, I felt like they handled it as well as it could have been.
The thing that I was thinking a lot in this movie was the word payoff.
Yes.
I felt like they paid off so many things in this film, both character relationships as well as frankly just like they're finally kind of cashing in on some of the talent they hired.
Oh,
like
my God,
Sebastian
yes.
Stan,
Yeah.
being hired to play Bucky in the first Captain America film, like really pays off in this movie.
Oh,
you know?
fuck yeah.
Because he really gets to do something with it.
Well, like, and I just somebody's putting a comment here. The Peter Parker wasn't really needed. He liked him, but wasn't really needed. I will agree. Needed is probably a strong term. Like, you didn't have to have him in here for that to work, but I thought
it was
like
a great introduction.
The
to the
thing I
MCU.
loved about it was they literally did the, like, you know. So how'd that happen? He's like, well, it's kind of a long story, and then he's like, all right, go, and he just goes beyond it. It's like that is the perfect, like, we don't
need it
to see it.
We don't need to see it.
We get it. We know the character. He was fucking spot on.
I thought you were going to say he was spectacular.
No. So let me real quick before I forget, because this whole time I was thinking, do you think there could be any? The new one's called Homecoming, right?
Yeah.
Do you think they could have any relation to the code words? Because Homecoming was like the second to last word.
Ooh, that's an interesting.
I mean, I know it could just
You're
be
totally
completely random, but I just they made such a point of saying the words each time.
I doubt it though. I doubt it is. It's just because Marvel ties things together. I mean, like even in this. Okay, so like in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I think it was last season. There was a whole through line in second season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Psycho Freak, I agree with you too. By the way,
where
fucking
there
awesome.
was a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent who was captured and brainwashed by Hydra, Agent 33, and like the code phrase that like, you know, when she was being programmed or whatever, like they kept saying, "Are you ready to comply? Are you ready to comply?" And that is exactly what Bucky says. Like after his like activation sequence is done, he says, "Ready to comply." And so I mean, just like the fact that like they're stitching even something that unimportant.
Yeah.
The fact that they are stitching that together with what's going on in the MCU on television.
Yeah.
All the pieces fit with Marvel.
I agree.
And so it might not be coincidence.
I mean, I thought it seemed like, well, how would that tie in? But they made such a point of reading the words, which makes me think that maybe there might be more meaning than just that. But I just remember thinking, like, you know,
they also said freight car. So, like, if the next...
But what if freight cars really...
Doctor Strange 2, freight car.
I mean, stranger things have happened. So,
oh, God. It must be Daniel Kaiser's birthday.
We just wish Daniel Kaiser a birthday, so that's maybe why I'm thinking of fun.
Happy birthday, Daniel.
He's
not watching this. He's got a life.
I do agree. So a couple questions here, just real quick, before we kind of start talking about our opinions. But like somebody said, you know, how did we feel about? Psycho Freak said, how did we feel about Tony signing the treaty? Like he felt like that was against his character.
I thought they totally paid it off with the introduction of that woman and her dead son. I mean, like,
well, and Tony
the fact that they framed Tony's introduction in this film with the regret surrounding the loss of his parents.
Well, and also the regret of all the weapons that he sold back. I mean, they tied it back to the very first Iron Man movie with like the whole reason he got rid of those is because he started really thinking about and seeing the damage they were doing.
Right.
Admittedly, like it's one of those things like. It's a little hard because like I have a problem with the concept of what they were trying to have done, like from a personal level, like
but from his character.
But from his character perspective, I thought they did a good job with it. Like it made me, and you know what? I will even agree with all the characters. Like I thought all the characters kind of coming to their thoughts naturally, like that scene with Vision where they start him thinking about, hey, look, you know. this stuff wasn't happening before you were there. There has to be a causality
That's right.
there might be a causality. It almost makes sense that there's some kind of connection there.
There's so much pathos in that too, since Vision is the one who's saying from the beginning that that unintended things can happen.
Yeah,
and of course he is the perpetrator of those unintended consequences with Rhodey.
So one other quick question was just do we feel like there was a little bit of a loss of the focus on Cap and Bucky? I don't know. I don't know how you
about Cap.
That's what I was gonna say. Like I didn't take that that way. Now, I mean, did they cram a lot of other stuff in? Absolutely,
but they service everything really well.
Not at the expense, in my opinion, of what happened. Of the storyline between Cap and Bucky. I think
every character in this film gets paid off in some way. I mean, even the villain Baron Zemo.
Yeah.
I guess Corporal Zemo in this.
Yeah.
But
he's not Baron yet.
Not yet. Give it time. He's alive. But even Baron Zemo. And I mean, we've talked about Marvel kind of being a little weak on villains sometimes.
Yeah,
but even his character, I think they really sold his point of view, and I love the way they tied that into T'Challa, and how T'Challa's standing there and he's seeing himself in this guy.
Yeah,
he's seeing the path that he's on, and I mean that's the thing. It's just the drama is so rich, and they tie all of these threads together so. Just so deftly. I'm so impressed with the writing.
As much as they crammed into this movie. I mean, like we talk sometimes about, like, I mean, I'll be honest, you could easily, from the outside looking in, if you had no sort of ties to it, you'd be like, well, didn't people used to have trouble with like the old Batman movies where they crammed in 3 or 4 villains and it was just too much and none of them really got fleshed out or whatever, like. And I could see somebody looking from the outside, maybe reading the details about this. Like, they're going to have this person and this person and this. And
there's no way they'll be able to pay them all off. It's like, yeah, they will.
And they did. Like, I honestly, no one did I feel like got...
Even Martin Freeman. He's only got 3 scenes, and yet he shines.
I do love that we now have, like, both halves of Sherlock in
Exactly. We got Martin Freeman and Cumberbatch.
And, but man, I loved, what's the kid's name that played Spider-Man?
Tom Holland.
Tom Holland. I thought he was so spot on. I loved the take on him.
Everybody told me.
Yeah.
Before we went in, they said best Spider-Man ever. 100% right.
I think I heard, and I couldn't be wrong, but I think I heard Tobey Maguire
gave him big props.
Big props.
Gave him big props.
Right, isn't that his name?
Yeah.
The first guy.
Yeah, the first guy that played him.
Yeah, and
but Tobey Maguire was really gracious to Andrew Garfield.
Andrew Garfield as well. Exactly. Yeah. But just I think he said like, hey, I think he did a great job. Whereas this guy, he's like. I think he said, like, favorite Spider-Man kind of thing. Like, gave him sort of even more props, which is just, to me, so phenomenal. Yeah. The guy that played Black Panther, I thought was awesome. I mean,
I agree.
I got to be honest with you.
Like,
this whole time that we were talking about, like, Black Panther's going to be in it, and, this is the lead up to a solo Black Panther movie. Yeah. I got to be honest, and I was like, I'll see that, I'll definitely see it, but
Marvel.
I don't have any real connection to Black Panther. I never really read him that much. The times that I ever did read him, he was with a lot of other people. So
I always saw him in crossovers.
It was a support, or I shouldn't maybe say a support role, but it was alongside so many other characters. I'm a little embarrassed to say, like, I had no real interest in him. But again, Marvel does such a good job with their properties. I was like, that'll probably be a movie that'll get me into it. Oh, I'm sold.
I'm there.
I'm sold there now.
I thought he came off so strong in this movie. I mean...
And as an interesting character. I kept thinking, like, I was just like, I don't really get what's so interesting about his character. I don't quite get it. I'm not feeling that yet. Watch the movie and I'm just like, dude, I'm game. I'm game for anything. Although, admittedly, I come out of that movie with, honestly, the first thought, I want to go see it again.
Yep.
Second thought, I cannot wait to see the new Spider-Man film.
I agree.
I am so sold on both of them.
Yeah, and that kind of goes back to, I think, that point that was originally made, like Spider-Man wasn't integral to the story. Spider-Man might not have been integral to this story, but Spider-Man is integral to the MCU.
Yeah.
And his appearance, and that's the whole thing. This movie was about introducing Spider-Man into the MCU, grounding him in the MCU that we've all known, so that when that solo film comes out, you feel that Spider-Man is part of the Marvel Universe, and it's not just another
another Spider-Man film that's disconnected from things. I think that they're really laying that foundation.
Some of the guys here did make a comment, and I will actually say, like, I loved the fact that Martin Freeman was in the movie, but I didn't really get why he was. Like, like, no part of what he did to me seemed like it was, like, to me, it was really just a cameo. Like, on the truest extent. Like, not like a cameo for something else. Is he supposed to be some character?
Yeah, he is, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he is a character from the comics.
Okay.
But I mean, you know, depending on, I guess, you know, your level of geekdom there.
Yeah.
That might, you know, serve as little more than a cameo.
I will admit that
comic character in addition to Martin Freeman.
You know, a couple people mentioned that, and I actually kind of agree. Like, I was like, oh, that's fucking cool. Okay. You know, like, I was just like, because I really did sort of expect, honestly, because I will say, I stopped reading comics way before Civil War happened, and so a lot of the, you know, we're finally getting into stuff that is a lot more outside of when I was reading comics, and that's maybe one reason why I'm even more excited is because I don't have those ties, so when they do change stuff, it's not as hurtful to me, you know, because I didn't have the connection to whatever the original storyline was. But, like, I really sort of thought, at the end, I almost thought somehow he was going to end up being involved in it when he was talking to Zemo, you know, behind there, and he was kind of giving him that look of almost like
interesting twist.
Well, he was giving him like this kind of look of like, oh yeah, do anything and I'll do it, and then he kind of leaned in, and I was like, it's working just as planned or something, you know, like that, like, you know,
Hydra.
Exactly. Yeah, I kind of thought that was coming, but man, God. Bless, that movie was fucking phenomenal.
It was great. Tim says, I still don't get the relevance of Martin Freeman's character. Well, I mean, I don't know that he's such a minor character. I
think you do. I think you do, because I don't think he really had a huge relevance. I think it was just like it's a character that probably is something that we will see later, you know. But to me, it kind of reminds me of the first time I saw.
Well, it's like Crossbones. I mean, like, you know, Crossbones is in the film to just move the story along at that point where they need to move the story along.
Exactly, and like it's even to, you know, not as much.
He's a plot device.
Yeah. I think that's kind of true. I mean, I think he could have easily just been a no-name actor, and if anything, they're just like, you know, hey, you know, we're this character probably will be in a few, you know, more movies. You know, would you like to do it?
Did this movie make you hate Batman v Superman even more because this made sense and was really
great? You know,
great?
In fairness, this made, and I'm being genuinely honest, this kind of has made Batman and Superman easier to take, because I'm like, this is so good.
Yeah.
It's sort of, it was like a rinse. It's like it rinsed Batman v Superman out of my mouth, and I don't even mean that as a slam.
Like where they squirt the water up your ass.
I really meant more like out of taste of your mouth.
And
but
like,
okay,
and like the candy bar from when you were 7 years old comes out.
You go the other end, but
I do.
But in all fairness, it really did.
If there's one guy who's going to go scatological on this humor, it's going to be me.
It kind of gives me hope that, like, this is so fucking good.
It is.
That if they land this and, like, you know, DC sees, you know, some of these things, maybe they start fixing things. And I don't want them to make the movies exactly like the Marvel movies, but I mean, the whole point is they could still take the things that are done so well by the Marvel movies and just do them with their own, you know,
that's the thing.
fucking people.
They need to pay attention to how much...
We take fucking British TV shows all the time and remake them in America and make them better because they're with American actors, not with stupid British actors.
Like the IT crowd?
Yeah, that didn't work out. But in all fairness, like, it's like you can take the material and just, you know, tweak it to your needs, and it's not like you're, you know, like, just giving up or like I'm just doing. It's like, you know, no, you're doing your. Oh, I remembered. I'm sorry. Another one I want to say before I forget it.
Okay.
Maybe, and I really mean my favorite thing about this film is how bright it was.
Yeah.
So you think about how much of a mess Batman versus Superman was, and a lot of it was just visually.
Fucking mess.
A lot of, like, I remember a lot of people kind of praising its visuals, like, it looked awesome, and I'm like, I didn't think it looked particularly awesome, and also it was so dark. That fight scene at the end, while it was so, like, to me it was not even interesting. Like, this scene, you know,
you're talking about the end of Batman v Superman.
Batman v Superman.
Hey, we're getting a CarMax.
Hey, there you go. If you look at that and watch it, like, to me it was just not much fun to watch. Like, I didn't feel like the fights were that inspired. They were just like, you know, wham, 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 you know, it was just going at it. Whereas, like, you look at the fight in this movie, and there's a lot of things happening. There's witty dialogue, there's, like, funny lines, there's some cool action, and to me that made it work. And it was fucking high noon.
Yeah.
You know, it's bright as fuck, so you saw it all, and it was just like, I think sometimes there's this want to like hide that, you know, because like it'll kind of the effects will, you know, we won't have to do as much work because, you know, it'll hide some of the imperfections and some of the CG maybe or whatever.
Whatever the
and
decision is made
to
for.
do that the way they did it and just make the movie just fucking gorgeous, like it just
damn it.
looked fucking.
Every time I do this, I don't mean to get in this fucking lane, and I always end up in this fucking lane. All right.
Anyway, yeah.
Saved it.
So what do you think?
Okay, so going back to what we were saying a few minutes ago, let's just talk about like new character introductions. I think we agree. We love Tom Holland as Spider-Man. Absolutely loved him. Really, really shines in the airport fight scene. I mean, just
somebody did say like Top Gear on the that's a bad example of American remake. So
exactly. But anyway, loved Holland as Spider-Man.
Yes.
Loved Chadwick Boseman as Black Panther.
Yes.
I mean, the thing that I was thinking about, like one of the things to the Marvel movie method. One of the things that Marvel does is they really, really pay attention to their script, and you know, like just to go back real quick to what you were saying about having that fear that you got so many characters in this, you're not going to be able to pay them all off, and it's not about quantity, it's not about screen time, it's about quality, and the economic storytelling that Marvel does with these films is so impressive, and I think that the relationship between T'Challa and T'Chaka is a prime example. Like they have basically that one scene together, but it tells you everything you need to know about them. They have this deep love and respect for each other. This is a father and son who could not be further from, say, like Tony Stark and Howard Stark.
Yeah.
And so when he dies, it instantly informs everything that T'Challa is going to do in the rest of the film, but you also understand there's this underlying aspect to his character that he is a man who takes his honor seriously, that he is more than just a tough guy. He's a king, and he thinks at that he thinks at that, you know, like that sort of like higher level sophistication about his actions and consequences. And so that's the thing. I mean, like, you totally get that for the sake of his father whom he loved, he will take all this action in the film, and also totally botally that when he gets to that scene with Baron Zemo, he says, nope, I'm not going to be you. I'm not going to make that mistake. And I mean, total, like, I don't know what this total screen time is, but he kicks ass for all of it.
Yeah. And you know, one of those that great things, you're talking about that scene where up until that very moment, he's going to kill him. He's gonna kill him. And
his head is coming off.
And it takes like that explanation and frankly understanding. I think he really understands where Zemo is coming from. Like
I understand where Zemo's coming from.
Yes, yeah. And then, you know, he sort of, you know, does the right thing, you know, or you know, makes him, you know, what does he say? The
living or not
done with you yet. Yeah, that's right. And it's such a good, and you know, the thing I like too is so much of that, like the whole thing where I would admit, like I wish there was a way, although I don't think that I can't think of one right now, that they could have that ramp up for Iron Man to, you know, show up, hey buddy, let's try to, you know, smooth things over, to finding out that, you know, one of his new buddies has killed his mom and dad. I wish, you know, that ramp up happened maybe just a tiny bit faster than I kind of would have hoped for, but I don't know how else they could have done it. And it's believable. And then the kind of ramping down of it, like at the end of the movie, where you sort of understand that, like, look, things are definitely different, and don't think, you know, Tony and Bucky are going out for drinks anytime real soon. But not like we ended, well, frankly, kind of like we ended Ultron, where it's like, it's just, shit is fucked, you know, like, just, it's just the world is
the world will never be the same. I remember, you know, I did a frame-by-frame breakdown for, I can't remember if it was the first or the second trailer for Cap. I think it was the second trailer, but I did a frame-by-frame breakdown on YouTube, and I was talking with somebody in the comments, and they were saying, oh, come on, you know that they're going to fight the whole movie until, like, 20 minutes before the end, when they figure out, like, the bad guy that's been responsible for everything, and then they team back up and all is well. And I was like, you know, I don't think so. I was like, I don't think that's what's going to happen. I was like, I think that the villain will play a role in, like, setting them against each other. But I think you get down to the end of this movie, and they're still like, it's not going to be fixed.
Yeah.
And the only thing that's going to get them back together on the same side is
a common
is
goal.
a really, really big
Yeah.
fucking common enemy, like,
Yeah.
I don't know, Thanos.
Yes, yeah.
So,
Some Psycho Freak brought a good question.
is Psycho Freak out Our Lord Despair?
Well, I just see the name. there, so
No, I mean, like he said earlier, but I can't remember.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, go ahead. Doesn't matter.
He's saying, do you think that the idea that people blame the Avengers for the damage that they do is similar to blaming a firefighter who can't put saving a building from collapsing while trying to put out a fire?
That's exactly how it feels to me. I
See,
mean,
now,
that's exactly
I don't.
how it feels.
I
to
actually,
me.
I don't agree with that. Like, I do think that there is a thing where
That's how they're representing it. I feel.
it would be the same to me as if it's like, to me, it would be similar as saying, like, we are going to catch, like say, like it's a forest fire, and we are going to catch other parts of the forest on fire to encapsulate that.
Yeah.
And in doing that,
We're gonna do a
we burn
firewall.
down your house. It's to me, though, if they're like running into a building and just the building is, they can't work fast enough to prevent the damage that's being done, that's a little different from actions they do in trying to save people make damage worse or create new damage.
I see,
if that makes sense to you.
I see the distinction you're making.
But I don't think that's. I think it's on the same, in a similar level. But I do think that there is this thing, like, you know, like we always talk about with Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility.
Yep.
And it's like that whole thing of like, look, one of the things that sucks is, yet you can do a lot more than other stuff, but you'll be put in positions where you still may not be able to do enough, or your actions may turn something worse. You know,
there's collateral damage and unintended consequences.
Yeah, and you kind of have to say, like, to a certain degree, like in that scene where it all starts.
Oh, look, it's a Black Panther.
It's
Giant Black Panther on the side of the truck. It's a sign.
They're
We got to
already
turn around. We got to turn around and go see it again. It's a sign.
They're already ramping.
God
up for the
wants
movie.
us to watch this movie again, Tony.
But they're already
Baby Jesus.
They're already that very first scene where Scarlet Witch takes Crossbones and encloses that explosion and then sends it up, and and it's one of those things, like, everybody's, I'm sure,
She saved Cap.
Or she could have sent it further away, or why didn't you do it this way, or why didn't you do this, that, or the other? And it's thinking that it's that heat of the moment. Yeah.
I do think, though, that I said this in the frame by frame breakdown, and it holds true now. There is a part of me that is a little incredulous.
And he is Our Lord Despair.
Yeah.
Sorry, thanks. I forgot.
There is a part.
I like that you talk about yourself in the third person too when you say that.
That is incredulous with regard to the perspective that the Avengers are causing all this havoc and have to be reined in. Like the woman who says, my son was in Sokovia, when you guys dropped a city on him. It's like, I'm not sure if you're aware of this or not, but had that action not been taken, Ultron would have extinguished all life on this planet.
Well, though, and I will say, this is the one thing I think is amazing about movies like this. You could take this to someone who'd say, like, we should have never dropped the atomic bomb. I don't care.
Yeah.
Because, like, some people say, like, well, look, it stopped a war that was killing hundreds of thousands of people. And they're like, well, but then that, sometimes though, that'd be the same thing of, like, someone saying, like, well, the reason maybe you don't have, the reason you don't have capital punishment is because, you might kill 99 out of 100 people that did deserve to, but there's that one person that didn't.
Yeah.
We can't take that chance.
Yeah.
In a way,
I mean, that's basically my position.
Yeah, and in a way, there's a similar thought process of, like, well, yeah, you took that action, but you made the decision for other people's lives who may not have died from that, just to save potentially save. Because that's the other thing. You can't,
you are sacrificing people on the altar of the greater good.
Yes,
but you are still sacrificing.
But you're also making a determination that could be wrong.
Yeah.
You do an action that says, well, if we didn't stop this here, it would have gotten worse. Well, that's what you think it is.
Yeah.
Maybe Ultron couldn't have taken over the world. Maybe maybe if they had
come on, it's James Spader. James Spader can take over the world. See, that's all Tony Stark had to tell that woman. He's like, James Spader was trying to take over the world. She's like, oh, we're good.
Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah, I forgot. That's right, yeah. No, but in all fairness, that's the thing. Like, what if they had put off that attack 6 hours, and in that 6 hours, Vision came up with some, code that was able to take care of it. Yes, 1,000 people got killed in the city, but not the 10,000 that did, or whatever. You know, and the whole point is they have to make decisions in the moment, and especially when they harness the kind of power they do. And I mean, it's not a simple thing. It's not a simple, you know, this was the right thing to do, this was the wrong thing to do.
And the movie portrays it that way.
Exactly.
The movie does not dumb it down by saying this side's right and this side's wrong.
Exactly.
They give it the respect to just say everybody, you know, has a slightly different opinion on this.
I will say, Our Lord of Despair makes the perfect point, a great point,
which is
that the government sent a nuke in for the first Avengers, but yet they're mad that the Hulk smashed a couple of buildings.
That's a very excellent point.
That's a great point. They were ready to nuke the city.
That's something that Steve should have like thrown in Iron Man's face.
Yeah,
you know? It's like these are the people that tried to nuke New York.
Yeah, that is a great point.
I do think they invoked the World Security Council at some point, which were the people who were responsible for that decision in the first place.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But anyway, the point is that I love the fact. No, okay. So number one, there's not a direct analog in this film to like, you know, anything that's going on in the world right. You know, like right now, like it's not like torn from the headlines like a Law and Order episode, and yet it's applicable to so many things. Like you can apply it to like the collateral damage of war. You can talk about, you know, individual rights versus collectivism. I mean, there's like so many aspects of this conflict that are that connect. You know, with lots of different people from lots of different places for lots of different reasons. But at the end of the day, it is paid the due respect, like every character in this film, including Baron Zemo.
Yeah.
Every character in this film feels they are right and they're taking action because they're right. And what results is a dramatic and satisfying conflict as opposed to the Martha misunderstanding of Batman v Superman. That is the greatest contrast between these movies.
I was dying for them to just sense the trailer, because you know it was that scene with Falcon and Cap and Bucky.
Your mother's name was Sarah.
I wish they just for the sake of it just been like, your mother's name's Martha, and you'd be like, Martha, why'd you say Martha? Why'd you say Martha? Why'd you say Martha? I was hoping that would happen, but it didn't happen.
I so hope, like in the deleted scenes, or excuse me, in the blooper reel, there's like a blooper reel
scene like that.
where Cap says to Tony in that scene, he's like, by any chance was your mom's name Sarah? Okay, never mind.
Like,
go ahead and hit me. It's fine. Go ahead.
Dude, that was.
I tried. He's like, he looks at Buck. He's like, dude, I tried.
Dude, I tried. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
That was my silver bullet.
So there are a couple other things come up here. And again, Our Lord of Despair makes another kind of point that I think I kind of agree with is we still, the one I will kind of give you this, we still didn't really get resolution to Bucky. Like to his.
No, that's still an open-ended question.
Even not even so much like, I mean, you know, we know the characters gonna be around and move on to things, but like we still don't really get. I will actually maybe agree with a small point, you know, that was made earlier, is that, you know, we didn't get enough of Cap and Bucky. I think we got enough of Cap and Bucky. We didn't really get a good finality to any part of Bucky's storyline.
That's ongoing,
which is a good
I
point.
love that moment though before they
cut the check.
Oh man, we need more Mackie cutting the check. I love that moment before they step off the Quinjet to go into the compound, and they're talking about, you know, like back in the day, and you know, like spending like you spent the bus fare money, trying to, you know, impress Dolores, and
you called her Dot,
and he goes, she must be 100 years old now. He's like, buddy, so are we. And that's
why we think we can sneak around with a ball cap on and a jacket.
That's exactly right. The fucking dude. I made fun of that like in the trailer, but I mean, my God, in the film, they're sitting there like wearing like we're undercover outfit with the ball caps and the aviators, and then Sharon Carter comes up and like, bitch, where's your hat and glasses?
Yeah, you said that.
We're undercover.
And then my thing was just like, I wanted him so bad to turn to her and be like, how'd you know it was us?
Yeah.
You know, like,
I know.
But yeah, that was pretty
comical.
damn funny. John fucking Wayne. Look at that.
There it is on a billboard.
All right. Let's see.
Giant Man, dude, the fucking airport.
Oh my God!
He says, "All right, I tried this once in the lab, and like I just looked at you, and I was like, oh my God, it's Giant Man." Then he grows to like 40 feet tall.
I'm not.
It was awesome.
And that's the thing. That's why I have a hard time feeling that there was like maybe on a second viewing, maybe it's somehow different, but like I can't imagine that fight was so good.
Yeah.
It was so good. And it's also so good because while it never got I will admit, I sort of thought there was a point where we might get to a time where I was a little surprised no one died. And I know I'm not saying that in a good way. No, I really thought...
I totally expected somebody was going to cry.
And to be honest with you, I kind of kept thinking it might be Cap.
I thought it might be Cap, too.
A major thing. And then when
I thought Rhodey might die.
When Rhodey got died, and I was kind of hoping for that.
Yeah.
That didn't happen.
But alas.
But I don't know. I hate to say it. I'm sure Don Cheadle's a nice guy. I just do not like him in that role.
Really?
I just don't. I always liked Terrence Howard.
I do. I was
he
thinking
just had some swagger to him that I just don't feel like Cheadle quite has.
I wonder if Terrence Howard's kicking himself yet.
Yeah, I would think
away.
so. I mean, he does have, I guess, a pre-published show on Fox, but still,
that's true.
That's not
What's that
quite
called?
the same.
Empire.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, but yeah, the airport site, the airport fight. I mean, I think it really did. I mean, it paid off. They teased that in the trailer so much. And
they showed a decent amount of it up till now, and still, there was nothing about that. None of it was ruined. I don't know.
Did you catch the cameo? It's one of the directors, the brothers. I don't know if it's Anthony or Joe. I think it's Joe, but he's got the cameo as the dead body in the hotel bathtub, like the psychiatrist who Zemo replaced.
Yeah.
To get into to Bucky. But anyway, it was just I love directors who do dead body cameos.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if the other brother did something that I missed somewhere in the film.
Well, and Ice 21 here made a good point too that Zemo did that without Zemo did more kind of potential damage to the squad,
right,
without any superpowers whatsoever, really. Potentially a large bankroll. I feel like some of that had, there had to be some money behind that.
Oh, right, like unlike Loki and the pokey stick.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, well, I mean, it just shows you what hatred in your heart, thirst for revenge in a year of your time can get you. Well, what does he say? He said, he says, I have experience and patience, and a man with those can do anything. And they pay that off. I am wondering what he was trying to accomplish. He kept trying to get the situation report about basically the assassination of the Starks.
Well, so
I'm curious, what was he trying to track down? Was he just because obviously, he ostensibly he's going to find the facility where the other Winter Soldiers are kept, but then he caps them. And that's maybe the one thing that his character does that I'm not really clear on.
And the timeline seemed, because I kept thinking, I was like, well, maybe he didn't know Bucky, Winter Soldier, was the one that did it. He just knew one of them did it, maybe. But I don't think so, because in the timeline, I think he's already dressed as Bucky at that point when we see that line, don't we? Or is that a little later? I can't remember.
I can't remember either.
Let's go back and watch it again.
Okay. Turn the car around.
Cut the check!
Oh, man, I love Mackie.
Let's see here.
Get your money right then.
Let's see.
Actually...
So Wakanda has a giant Black Panther statue. Could there be a spinoff for Thundercats?
God, I hope so.
Fucking Black Panther
Thundercats.
Thundercats. It'd be no stranger than Men in Black
crossover with
23
Jump Street.
21
MIB 23,
Streets.
whatever they're saying it.
Yeah.
I think that again, just like going back and kind of talking about the characters like being serviced in a really fulfilling way. I thought we finally got to see Sam Wilson kick some fucking ass in this movie. I mean, Falcon kicks some ass in this film.
Yeah. Everybody did. Honestly,
everybody did.
Every single person did so good in this. Even though, Hawkeye was not in it for a ton of time, but when he was, he always comes in and really plays a major role, and I like him more and more every time. He's always pivotal.
Yeah.
And then you look at Ant-Man. Ant-Man really didn't have a ton of screen time, but man, it was
and
just
you kind of
so
assumed he was
good.
just going to be comedic relief until it turns out that he is the goddamn Trojan horse
Yes.
of their little skirmish.
I love like the little lines like, okay, now would be the time that anybody has any.
Anybody got any unrevealed abilities they'd like to talk about now? That escalated quickly.
That was.
It went up a notch. It did, didn't it?
That. Oh man, that was so awesome.
It was. God, it was good.
I love the dynamic. Like, you got to be honest. Like, you look at like so many of these. You look like so many of these characters, and again, it's like this was. So many people have kind of said this is like a third Avengers movie, practically. Like it's just.
It was.
It
was
the amount of characters and everything, but it also just that last scene where you've got. Not the last scene, that scene where they're all just, facing off against one another. I mean, we've seen that trailer so many times, but when you really get that, like, every person has some interpersonal struggle with the person on the other side.
You've
like,
got Wanda
Vision and Wanda. You've got Hawkeye and Black Widow. Exactly. You got everybody.
You've got Black Panther and Bucky. I mean,
yeah. I guess,
that's the thing. Like, it's not action for the sake of fucking action. It is drama.
And
the fight comes from the drama.
You could maybe make the small argument that the Ant-Man, Spider-Man were like comedic relief battling to a degree, but they both had such integral parts of the fight with everybody else.
And they're kind of coming at it from the same perspective, which is like, I'm the new guy, I'm trying to impress the boss.
That's exactly
I mean, they're basically
right.
playing the same
Dude,
beats.
and the lines, man, they had so many good lines, especially fucking Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like all the little things like, like just talking about like, oh, you got, that's cool, man. What are you doing there? Like, he's just so.
Is that carbon fiber?
Like,
what's the tensile strength to weight ratio on those things?
I loved two things about that fight that I loved so much. One was it felt like a real fight.
Yeah.
But with people who did not intend on actually killing one another.
Right.
And
other
at that
than
point,
Black Panther, who was probably trying to kill Bucky.
That's a good point. Okay. But
other than that,
everybody else.
Yes.
And I think
everybody else was pulling their punches.
It did feel like we may not come back from this the same way.
Yeah.
Maybe not dead, but not the same way.
Yeah.
But yet they still, there were laughs in it. There was just amazing action, and the fucking Star Wars line.
Oh my
They're
God!
Like, hey, you guys remember that really really old movie, Empire Strikes Back? And then like he starts doing the fucking attack. Oh, that was so,
coming around. I was just waiting for it.
So
one more
good.
pass.
Oh, that was so good. That's so good, man.
See, again, like the thing that I just cannot harp on enough is that this movie, and I mean the comparison to Batman v Superman is inevitable.
Yeah.
And I don't want to talk about Batman v Superman any more than we have to.
Yes,
really,
yeah.
like I'm not here to like jump up and down on its head, but it's just that. Okay, like in that airport fight scene, and then again at the end when Bucky, Iron Man, and Cap are throwing down, the music cues in those scenes are tragic. It sounds like, opera of tragedy.
Yeah.
The music cues are not bombastic and, hey, this is a kick-ass fight, between all these superheroes. The music says what is going on here is a terrible thing that is happening. Catastrophe, to use Vision's word. They really, really play the conflict as the driving force, and the fighting and the action and the fun that comes out of that is all just a consequence of the battle of ideas going on in this film. And it is so grounded in the characters. Like you really believe that everybody who's there is doing what they're doing because they believe in what they're doing, and it makes all the difference in the world, as opposed to the giant misunderstanding that is the fight of the titular fight of Batman v Superman.
And I keep going back to just the fact that like this, that you just I believed this more. Like, I mean, and if anything, if you want to go over the top, like we had so much more going on in this world that's unbelievable. I mean,
totally.
Yes, you have a Superman from another world and stuff, but then you got Batman, who's fairly grounded in reality for the most part.
He's basically a James Bond type character.
Yeah. I mean, I think
With a single guy with a lot of gadgets.
You do have to give the superhuman kind of fighting ability. He's not superhuman, but he somehow has it, thing. But you give a little bit for that,
but the Marvel films are pretty fanciful.
Exactly, but that's the thing. They're maybe even more fanciful, and somehow come off as more believable.
Yeah, I agree.
Significantly more believable.
And it's because they make real people.
Exactly.
They make those characters.
And real people joke. They joke during adversity.
Yeah.
That's
how most people deal with it.
Exactly, and that's I don't know, man. They just do such a good job. We talked early on when we first started doing the show. We talked so much about the Marvel formula, the Marvel Studios formula, and
they've got it. It's real. Believe.
Oh, the
method is real.
Back then, it was real already, but it's still they had done well for a long time for quite a few movies. But it still felt like they were playing in their own sandbox to some degree. Like they were still, their movies were so great, they were so good, but it didn't go, maybe as beyond that. And man, now here lately, you take some of the last couple movies, and especially when you think of Captain America, I think was one of the first ones that I actually think it was one of the first ones people struggled to like as much. I feel like the first Captain America was a solid movie.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed it.
I loved it.
But I do think that it has a little less of the fancifulness of some of the others, like of the Iron Mans and the other. It just didn't quite maybe have that same thing. But then you go to Winter Soldier, where I think it leapfrogs some of the others in terms of just overall drama and storytelling and things like that.
It went up.
But then you cut to this one, which I think, and granted, I'm hot on it right now, but it'd be hard for me not to say this is not my favorite of the Marvel movies.
It is so far.
It has so much. It has so many, and so much of all the things that I like about the Marvel universe. And in all fairness, it's involving 80% of them or whatever.
Yeah.
It's involving so much of it.
There's very few people that don't wind up in this conflict somehow.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that again, like I started off talking about today, payoff. There's so many things that get paid off in this. I mean, we've done sort of like Tony Stark has dad issues. We've done that, since the first Iron Man movie, it was kind of hinted at, and then in Iron Man 2 we got a bit more of it, and we come into this movie, and the introduction of the character is all about that. And by the way, what did you think about seeing 20-year-old Robert Downey Jr. again? Haven't seen 20-year-old Robert Downey Jr. in a while.
Although, admittedly, how is he now? 50 or 40?
I think he's got to be in his 50s. But
so 50-year-old Robert Downey Jr. doesn't look as far away from 20-year-old Robert Downey Jr. as we probably do.
Yeah.
But yes, that was amazing. It reminded me of that scene from Ant-Man, but even better. The one thing
we
with
said
Ant-Man,
they were 95% there. Now they're 100.
That was I was gonna say that to me is 99. They are about as close as I think they can get until it just hits that point where you don't know it, and we will and we may never know it. They may be like, oh yeah, by the way, Robert, was in a car accident, and we shot the last 3 films with his CG double, and nobody even knew.
He's been in the coma all this time.
Yes, yeah.
Acting, via brain interface.
Acting!
But seriously, the 20-year, I did, I spoke a little bit louder than I meant to in the theater, but, we're watching it, and I just was like, are you seeing this?
Yes, yeah. It was amazing.
The effect was really, really convincing.
It was,
and then you get really close in his face at the end of that shot. He's like,
it wasn't like the one thing I think you could almost say about Ant-Man is it looked like there was a couple times where they had him turn or face behind you, times where they kind of were able to cheat a little bit and not have to do as much CG.
Yeah.
And this one, he's facing the camera the whole fucking scene, and then comes right up to it at the end. Then you see, current Tony Stark,
current Downey Jr. in the background.
It
was impressive. It was damn impressive. And I was impressed with the Michael Douglas shit in Ant-Man.
Oh, I thought it was really good.
But there was room for improvement.
There was that.
There's a lot less room for improvement in this.
Somebody's asking us, or a couple people actually, are asking us who we feel like should be the villain in the new Spider-Man movie.
Oh, that's a good question. I'd like it to be somebody a little off the beaten path.
Let me throw you a couple things they're talking about and get your opinion. So,
Okay.
we've got Neil is saying he thinks it will probably get the Vulture, but he'd love to see the Puppet Master.
Okay.
Our Lord Despair is saying Lizard.
Yeah, they did that last time.
What is DER? I'm not sure.
DER?
Yeah, he just has lizard.der. So I wasn't sure if there might be a character I'm not thinking
I
of.
don't know, maybe it's Taco or somebody I'm not thinking of.
Ice 21 has the one that I would have probably said, which is Mysterio.
That's what I was going to say too.
Like,
I would like to see Mysterio.
And admittedly, somebody else here I think said too, is like, I would love to see Mysterio, but maybe not for the first movie. Like, and I don't know how I feel about that, because I feel like we've seen Green Goblin so many times. We've had the Lizard. We've had a couple, even though not in the current one. We've had Doc Ock. I think at this point I would probably be okay, because this is the first time Marvel's doing it. So I feel like no matter who they do, I feel like it'll be a better take, or it'll be a fresh enough take on the character that I won't care, even if it ends up being Green Goblin, for which I kind of hope it's not.
But I can do with that.
Exactly. I would like to see something like a Mysterio, or I don't know.
I dig Vulture too.
The Vulture would be pretty cool, especially since we haven't. Well,
I don't know if
I never saw Spider-Man 3. We didn't get him in that, did we?
No. It was the fucking Mellow Yellow Goblin, and then Venom
and Sandman, right?
And Sandman.
And when there are like 8 others in there?
No, thankfully not.
I think sorry.
I think
Durr just meant like, well, Durr.
I think Kraven would be interesting too. I don't have like
Kraven
a great
Hunter,
I can't say like off the top of my head.
Punisher into.
Here's the story that that they need to do with Kraven, but I think Kraven would be interesting, and I would fucking love to see Frank Castle on the big screen in the MCU with Spider-Man. I'd love that.
Our little Spurs saying that it's Sony making
stop
it.
Stop the car before I hit this guy.
So Sony's making it, so he's afraid they'll play it a little safe. I thought they had basically handed the reins over to Marvel Studios.
They have.
Like, they're going to
Sony's distributing.
They're still distributing.
Marvel Studios is making the movies.
Yeah. So to me, that's, again, similar to like our ride down. We were talking about how, we think having Ben Affleck being part of that process is a good improvement for there. I think basically handing the reins over to Marvel and being like, look, just give us our cut. You make it, make it huge. And literally, you look at the one decision they've already made and how solid it is.
Yeah.
And I liked Andrew Garfield, and I did not have a problem with his take. As a matter of fact, I enjoyed both those films. Did I have problems with them? Sure. And as a matter of fact, did I have quite a bit more problems than I do with most Marvel movies? Like most Marvel movies, the problems I have, I'm like, wasn't enough to really bother me.
Yeah.
But those were ones I'm kind of like, yeah, they should have done that better. But, I mean... I just, and maybe it's not fair because we're comparing, 2 films versus, 20 minutes of screen time, whatever. But I just, in that 20 minutes, they have sold me so
much on that character.
So much so on that character.
We didn't see the Iron Spider, but I suppose that it's possible that could happen in the solo Spider-Man film.
I do. I sort of hope they don't do it for a little while.
Tony Stark is going to be in the Spider-Man Homecoming film. I hope some other people from the MCU. We'll see.
That's the thing. I hope they don't do too many, because that's the thing. Like Spider-Man has had lots of different. Yeah, I mean, it's one thing. Like Iron Man is always changing suits, and so that it's sort of like that's part of it. But when Spider-Man changes suit, it's usually for a distinct purpose. The black suit Spider-Man, or the or the Iron Spider, like things like those. Kind of concepts. So I hope we don't see too much of that.
No,
in the first movie.
We don't need that out of Spider-Man.
Yes, we have seen Punisher Dirty Laundry.
Yes.
You showed that to me years ago, whenever I guess it first had come out with what's his name?
Thomas Jane.
Yeah, Thomas Jane. Oh, and that's fucking awesome. Matter of fact, when we first were talking about having God, I'm so awful with names. The guy that's playing Punisher and Daredevil.
Bernthal.
John Bernthal. When we were first talking about that, we're like, that is awesome. That could be as awesome as Thomas Jane and that short that was done, that independent short.
And it was.
Yes, yeah.
Who are those guys? Just a couple of guys who are about to walk into a diner for the last time.
That was so good. It does make you wonder why, like, Marvel doesn't look at that and just be like, hey, you want to be back on? You want to be back in the movies again?
Come back. I tell you, they've not really crossed over, other than Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I mean, certainly Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has had some pretty direct correlation.
Yeah, but Coulson is the central figure in Phase 1 of the MCU, so that's not surprising. But since Phase 2, they have not had as much of they've not really had like a lot of direct crossover as far as like TV stuff coming to the films. Okay, well, I won't even say that. Okay, none of the Netflix shows has really showed up in a substantial way. Like, nobody's mentioned, anything weird going on in Hell's Kitchen. Nobody's mentioned Kingpin or Ben Ulrich or anything like that.
Really, you say not much. I don't think it's at all, right? Like, we haven't had any.
Think. I mean, maybe there's something I'm missing, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head. But the point is that I'd really love for that to happen. I'm hard pressed to think of a situation in which Steve Rogers needs fucking Matt Murdock's help. But other than like Steve Rogers, like, hey, I could use a lawyer. I know that sounds like such a cheesy thing, but like in this movie, it would have been amazing for like that scene where fucking jeez, I'm losing my mind. Black Widow was talking to Steve, and she just says something like, they're gonna come after you if you do that, and say like, I do know a good lawyer, right,
or something like that. Even just like a small little thing of like that. Like,
I
wonder if they're talking about.
They can contact my attorneys at Nelson and Murdoch. Yeah. Nelson and Murdoch, motherfuckers!
I mean, just even something like that would have been awesome. But I'm sure they're in a way. I bet they are kind of saving it in case they do really want to full on do it. Which I'm not sure if. I'm not sure if they are, right? You've talked a couple times, I think.
I don't know. I mean,
maybe
there's no plans that I know of. I mean, obviously they're doing the Defenders. Like, they're shooting the Defenders at the end of this year. So the Netflix, branch of the MCU is going to do their crossover event this year.
Yeah.
Or I guess it'll be out next year. They're filming it.
Yeah.
It'll probably be out. The thing that they always say, and it's a valid point. What problem are the Avengers going to have that the people like in the Defenders are going to be able to help with?
Yeah.
And I mean, that's true. I mean, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, they're definitely more high octane than Punisher and Daredevil.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like, I could see a Punisher.
You could argue Black Widow is on par with somebody like Daredevil, right? Like from a.
It'd be interesting to see them go at it.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like, if they were going to do, let's say, like a Black Widow solo film, or like I don't know about like an Avengers movie, them showing up, but like certainly in one of the solo films.
Yeah.
I think there's potential for crossover there.
I would I'd love saying like the Black Panther movie or something like that. Like he travels to New York City for something and and runs into Daredevil for something. Like I could
suits me.
I could totally live with something like that. But I kind of don't know if I think that's gonna happen. So let's think of a couple other things. Is there any other things that you can think of? Because we're probably getting close to
time to wrap.
What were your what's is there any other things we haven't talked about yet that you can think of?
I came into this movie really fucking excited.
Yes.
I was excited for Civil War after we saw the first trailer.
Yep.
I was really excited after I saw the second trailer. I was through the fucking roof when people who had seen this, were released overseas last week and the week before, I got really, really fucking excited when they started saying things like best Marvel movie ever, best Spider-Man ever, all that. All weekend long, when it was open here in the States, I was itching to go and see this movie. And when we finally, figured out it was going to be today and the time and all that stuff, I mean, I had so much anticipation for this film, and my expectations were pretty high.
Oh, yeah.
And it still surprised me and exceeded what I expected from it.
That is exactly the way I was going to say. Because like that, I remember when we went into, we go into a lot of movies, and I will start downplaying my expectations because I'm really bad about, like, if I go in with the wrong expectations and it doesn't live up to them, then it negatively impacts the film. Instead of just being like, that didn't end up being as good, it kind of makes it like, man, I was really hoping it was going to be that. This one I had gotten so hyped up about that I really was fearful that like nothing would be able to fully make me happy with it.
Yeah.
And I mean I'm giddy. Like, it was just such a good movie. I mean, it was such a good movie, not just such a good. We talk about it a lot of times, like, not just a good comic book movie. We're so far beyond that stuff now.
This is the Empire Strikes Back of the Marvel movies so far.
You remember we kind of said something similar to that about Winter Soldier.
Right.
Because it was that darker film, and it kind of took it and made it, it was a lot. It was a lot more serious. There was less comedic lines, but you got to the end of it, and you're like, man, that was really good. Like, had that been like a Jason Bourne or something, I mean, just take away some of the super powered stuff and just make it about the the concepts going on, it would have been a really good movie. And then on top of that, it was just a phenomenal Cap movie. I don't know, man. This was just such. They just nailed this. They just nailed it.
They did
on every level.
It's amazing how fun it is, considering that it's the most somber movie they've done to date.
Well, you think about it, like, I remember so many people talking, and I know we keep tying it in, but I think it is legitimate. There's a connection between these. We keep tying it to Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
And the thing with Batman versus Superman was, the concepts are the same, and yet still somehow this one, it's even though it's a dark concept, like these these characters on these two people on either side of these conflicts, like going at one another. It just, I don't know, like, even though it felt more serious, it still didn't feel like depressing. It almost it was almost more like frustrating, like angry, like you're angry at your buddy because he doesn't see your point of view. You're like, dude, no, I'm telling you, look here, da da da, and he's like, no, man, I mean, I get what you're saying, but no, it's I can't get with it. I'm over here. It's that kind of thing where you really can believe it. Whereas on the other level, it's just
you're not fighting about whether like the Beatles or Kanye West are the most influential music act of all time.
Exactly. Or that new Paul McCartney guy that like cut a track with Kanye.
Yeah, whatever he's doing in the music industry.
It
was great.
Oh man!
The bottom line is this movie was fucking great.
Bottom line, since we were the last ones to see, you should go out and see it if you haven't.
You should go see it. You should go see it if you haven't. Marvel has done it again.
We should do a second breakdown when we see it again.
That's a good idea.
This actually would be the movie. It would be fun to do it again because I can't imagine. The only problem is we'd probably be saying the exact same things with the same amount of excitement. I would think.
My God.
Yeah.
Hats off to all the team at Marvel Studios.
Absolutely.
Whatever you guys are putting in the water, keep doing it.
This just makes me, gosh, this is so. I cannot wait to see how they do. How they do. I know they're going to change the names, but Infinity War or Infinity War 1 and 2 and Guardians and fucking what do we got next? And we've got.
Well, let's see. We got Doctor Strange at the end of the year.
Doctor Strange at the end of the year, which actually I was bummed. We missed the trailer coming in for that. But have you seen the most recent one?
I have, yeah.
I mean, it's one of those where it's gotten me, even more interested for it. But man, I don't have a clue what's
in store.
What's so in store yet. Yeah. But I have.
We got Doctor Strange. We got Captain Marvel, Black Panther.
Are those coming? When are those? Next year?
I think 2000. I think that Black Panther and Captain Marvel are next year, but I'm not positive.
Shit. Yeah. And that'll be kind of fun or kind of interesting because that'll be there won't be one of those tentpole movies necessarily next year, like an Avengers,
style.
or one of the core,
the third Thor, that'll be out.
Oh, that's right.
Maybe are all those next year? Because I think the first Avengers Infinity War is 2018, and the second is 2019.
I didn't think Captain Marvel was close yet. I was thinking it's a ways off.
I think Captain Marvel's coming out before Avengers Infinity War because they said that she's going to be in it.
Oh, well, man.
The Russo brothers kind of spilled the beans. They're like, Captain Marvel's going to be in Infinity War.
They'll have to...
And Guardians 3. What year is this?
And this is also the same studio, essentially.
Maybe I'm wrong.
That's also putting out new Star Wars movies out every year.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the first Infinity War movie is 2019. So we've still got 2017 and 2018.
I think you might be right. Let's just see.
But I know the movies that... I think the movies that are coming out prior to Infinity War are Guardians 2, Doctor Strange, Thor 3, Captain Marvel, Black Panther. That's 5. Yeah. And I think there are 3 in 1 year.
Let's see. Infinity War Part 1 is supposed to be May 18.
All right. So there you go.
So that's not that far. Anyway, it's
2 years from now.
And then May 19. That's actually the kind of cool thing, too. We won't have to wait a couple years in between. We'll get them back-to-back years.
Suits me.
Man, I just can't say enough about that. That was just phenomenal.
It was.
I will say after the, we've had, Deadpool, Batman v Superman, and Civil War this year. I really enjoyed Deadpool. I really enjoyed it. But I this would still, by far, be the best experience movie-wise this year.
It's the high water mark so far.
And Deadpool is right behind it. And then whatever that third one I mentioned is somewhere in there.
Yep. Oh, it's down there somewhere. All right, guys, we're going to get out of here. Thank you so much for chatting with us, for hanging out, listening to the live stream. Of course, you can find us on Twitter at Breakdown Show. I'm at Viking Brent. And then, of course, if you want to leave a comment, both of these, the pre-show and this, are going to be going up in high-quality versions next week on drivehomebreakdown.com. We'll see you guys for the next one, whatever it may be. Until then, the breakdown rolls on.